Hi there, I'm Zanjua with Compass. Today we're going to talk about a question I get asked all the time, and that is, what is the home buying process? So you figured out what city you want to live in, what county you want to be in, you know roughly kind of what size house you want, what you're looking for, what particular features. The very first thing you need to do is get pre-qualified. You need to get pre-qualified because when you're actually going to have a look at a house, you might have to make a decision on that day whether you're going to put in an offer. If you haven't already gotten pre-qualified, it's going to be too late. If you're looking at a $650,000 house and you're not pre-qualified and you talk to a lender and he says, well, you only qualify for 550 because of your debt to income ratio, then you've just wasted a whole bunch of time. So you don't want to do that either. So first thing, get pre-qualified. You'll have a pre-qualification letter in hand. And basically it's a very simple walkthrough. You'll fill out an online application. They'll take a look at your general profile. They'll give you a letter of what you qualify for, and then on the back end they'll do all the pre-underwriting, which is they'll get take a look at your credit history. They'll get your pay stubs, all that kind of stuff, income verification, and all those kind of good things. All right, so you've got your pre-approval letter, you've gone and looked at a house, you found the one you want. Next thing to do, you write up an offer. All right, so you've put in your offer has been accepted, the terms and conditions were met, the seller's agreed to everything that you've put in there, and now the home is under contract. You're at a stage, it's called mutual acceptance. Now there's two very important things that happen next. Firstly, you're gonna have the home inspected. That's gonna be a inspector of your choice. Obviously, I can provide you with an inspector if you don't have one. You can get any inspector you want to come in and take a look at the house and give you a report on anything that needs fixing, anything that is a major concern, anything structural, anything electrical, any safety hazards, anything like that. Now at that point, if there's something that you find on there, you can go back and renegotiate your offer with your inspection report in hand, and potentially you might try to get some money off because you need X, Y, or Z done. The second important thing that's going to happen is you're going to need to submit earnest money to the escrow, title and escrow company that's being used for the transaction. So what is earnest money? It's going to be part of your down payment. Now, if you've already been pre-qualified, so you know that what you're going to be putting down on this property, what works for you. Is it 3%, 5%? Is it a cash amount? Let's say, for example, it's $20,000. So let's assume this house is worth $500,000. You're putting down $20,000 in total as your down payment. You can put down 1%, maybe 2% as the earnest money, and that comes out of your down payment. So let's call it $5,000 for the sake of argument, 1%. That goes as a check, cashier's check, a wire transfer to the title and escrow company. And they're gonna hold that in trust throughout the entire process. And that money only doesn't get held by the seller, doesn't get held by the real estate companies, gets held in a trust by the title and escrow company, which are the closers. Escrow is the closing company that's gonna be used to close out this transaction, and they hold onto it until the day of closing, which then it goes onto your side of the ledger and becomes part of your down payment. All right, so there's a couple of other things that are going to happen throughout this process. One is that your loan officer is going to be going through all your financial. He's going to be sending you forms to fill out. Title and escrow are going to be sending you forms to fill out. And the whole loan is going to be pre-underwritten and approved for within a fairly short space of time, depending on who you use. I like to use independent mortgage brokers, and we can typically get it done 15, 20 days, sometimes even 10 days, depending on the urgency. And they're going to do all of that in the background while we're headed towards closing. All right, there's a couple other things that happen next. All right, the next thing that's gonna happen is the title company is gonna give you a preliminary title commitment. Now, the title company is the only person or the only entity that can tell you whether you are legally able to buy or sell a particular property. What they do in the background, they go through and make sure there's no clouds on the title, make sure there's no liens, make sure everything is on the up and up, and that property can be transferred into your name. You're gonna get a title report, and you're gonna have a certain amount of time, typically 5 days from receipt, to take a look at that report. I'll walk with you hand in hand. We'll call the title office and ask about anything, any easements that are on there, anything that we want to find out more information on. Typically, a lot of properties have easements on them for power, utilities, other such things. The city to come, the county, whoever, come and do the things they need to do. Sometimes there's access easements on there that have been put in place, over 20, 30, 40, 50 years of that property being, in existence. So we're going to go through all of those. You also typically might see unpaid property taxes that are on there. And just so you know, the title company has to clear those before closing or at closing before the property is transferred into your name. So let's say Mr. and Mrs. Smith didn't pay their property taxes this year and there's $5,000 outstanding. When it comes to closing, when you pay your $20,000 and the bank pays the rest of the $470,000, $480,000 that's going to be used for that property, the title company is going to take those funds and clear that out. So there'll be no encumbrances, there'll be no debts of any kind on that property when it's transferred to you. All right, at this point, we're in the final phase of the process. The bank's been through everything they need to do. They're ready for closing. Everything's good on the title report. The inspection went well. If you've had to do any renegotiation, you've already done that. You're ticking down to closing. The lender is going to send you the lender disclosures, and typically they need to be sent 3 days prior to the closing date because there's a cool-off period. So you're going to get those, you're going to sign off on those, and then, let's say the closing's on the 30th, around the 27th, 28th, 29th, you're going to have an appointment at the title company, or a notary is going to come to you at your place of work or a Starbucks, somewhere like that, and they're going to go through and we're going to sign everything, all the paperwork that needs to be done to transfer this into your name. Now, you're going to bring the rest of the funds or have them transferred to the title company at that point. So let's say you've spent $5,000 on earnest money, there's $15,000 you still need for your down payment. That's the time and that's going to be sent over to the title and escrow company, the actual closer who's closing that out, so that they have the funds ready to go. Now, let's say closing is on the 30th and everybody's signed everything. When do you get your keys? Well, the property is not actually legally yours until all those documents, that big wad of paper, has been taken down to the county records office and it has been submitted to the county clerk and has been put in the public record. And then at that point, we have to wait until we get a recording number from the county clerk. And at that point, when we have a recording number, the property is now yours. You can come to me and get your keys and voila, you're in your new home. So I hope that helped to explain a little bit about the home buying process, the A to Z. There's a lot of steps along the way, and we can go into more details if we have the chance to talk. It sounds complex, it sounds frustrating. Sometimes people do get a little bit, blown away about how much is involved in buying a house, but you will get there with a professional there to help guide you. It's going to be a lot easier, and then you'll get your keys, and then you're done. And usually the process, it's a 20-day to 45-day process, depending on what kind of loan you're going for, what your situation is. From the time you put in your offer and it gets accepted to the time you close and get your keys. And then the house is yours and the rest is history. And your home is ready for your family to enjoy for as long as the home fits your needs. I hope you found that informative. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. You'll see my number here on the left-hand side, and you'll find my email address on the right-hand side there on the screen. My phone number is 425-422-0758. That's 425-422-0758. And my email address is zan.dewar@compass.com. And I hope this answered some of your questions. There's always more. Every situation is very unique and different. Transactions happen every day, 24/7, 365 days a year. So if you're not in a home right now and you're renting, let's kick that landlord to the curb and let's get you your first home.